That ending was a bit more emotional than I was expecting. I am Chris with the Joshi Wrestling Recap for TJPW of February 26, 2022, available on Wrestle Universe. TJPW put on one of their smaller touring shows, but don't let the production value fool you. It was a surprisingly good show. This was a single hardcam show with no commentary. The Up girls sang and danced to open the show like normal. We opened with a match between Tjpw and Suzumi. This was a quick match, and I was surprised how much chemistry Suzumi and Kea had. This was one of the smoothest matches so far I have seen out of Tjpw. Sometimes there are pauses, but the pauses are getting shorter. The match saw a couple of Suzumi's great drop kicks, and Kea's submission holds are good now, I would say. At least when her opponent is Suzume. After Tjpw missed with her spinning second rope senton, Suzume got on the top corner and hit a nice no-arm crossbody. That was followed by a ring-the-bell cutter for the pinfall win for Suzume. The second match was a singles match between Neko Haruna and Naoki. This was another quick match, and felt like the point of it was for Neko Haruna to have fun. The match started with a lot of face scratches by Haruna Neko and her rope walk spot. Neko always looks like she has fun when she's doing the rope walk spot, but Neko's fun would stop when Naoki dodged Neko's pounce and backed her down into a corner, then punched her in the gut. Naoki pretty much had control of the match from this point, but Neko did get some well-timed scratches in throughout. Neko's night was ended after Naoki hit her with a DDT, followed by a backpack stunner for the pinfall victory. The next match was a pretty fun tag match, with the returning Maki Ito with Yuki Kamifuku on one team, and Naraku with Palm Harajuku on the other team. Maki Ito had not been able to be on shows recently, and this was her first match back. She was missed. Her energy really picks up the show, and when she was not on there, it was felt. The fun started right away when Maki Ito was singing her entrance music. Palm and Raku went in to try to sneak attack her, but were caught. Maki proceeded to stare daggers at Palm for the attempt to interrupt her singing, and called her out when the bell rang. The rest of the match was what you would expect for a match with these wrestlers. Lots of shin-based offense from Palm Harajuku, DDTs from Maki, chops from Raku, and some eye pokes from Yuki Kamifuku. Yuki Kamifuku helped Maki Ito with a well-timed eye poke on Palm, which was followed by a great headbutt, and Maki put on one of her signature finishers, the Ito Special, for a submission victory on Palm Harajuku. The fourth match was a trios match. On one team we had Moka Miyamoto, Miyu Watanabe, and Rika Tatsumi, and the other team was Hyper Misao, Shoko Nakajima, and Mahiro Kyoru. This was another good match and went by pretty quickly. Hyper Misao started by asking for the mic and asking to shake hands with the other team. When the other team got close, Misao sprayed them in the face with her cold spray. It was a trap. Hyper Misao then tries to get Mahiro Kyoru to use the cold spray, but she refuses, and Hyper Misao accidentally sprays her in the face. The ref catches Misao red-handed and she drops the can, and Narika picks it up and hits Hyper Misao in the head with it. This was a fun way to start a match. The match itself had a pretty conventional format. The Hyper Misao, Mahiro Kyoru, and Shoko Nakajima tagged in and out pretty often, but the other team rarely tagged. Moka Miyamoto was in for a while, then Rika Tatsumi was in, before Miyu Watanabe was tagged in at the end to bat cleanup. Miyu Watanabe was able to get Mahiro Kyoru up for the teardrop and hit it on the second attempt. The first attempt was countered, and got the pinfall victory for her team. The next match was a tag match. Hikari Noa with Arisu Endo against Mariko Kobashi and Miyu Yamashita. Unlike the previous match, this one started normally, with some trading of holds and locks between Hikari and Miyu. I am having trouble thinking what to say about this match though. It was fine. I did like how crisp Hikari Noa's machine gun drop kicks looked, and Arisu Endo did look like she was faster in the match when against Miyu Yamashita. Guessing she trusts and doesn't need to slow down with somebody as experienced as Miyu. That or Miyu is forcing her to speed up. Miyu Yamashita ended the match after hitting a skull kick on Arisu Endo for the pinfall victory. The final match was a tag match between Maji Arabi, the team of Yuka Sakazaki and Mizuki, versus the Bakaratsu sisters, Nodoka Tenma and Yuki Aino. This was a great match and surprisingly emotional at the end. This was probably the last time Maji Arabi and the Bakaratsu sisters would meet in a straight-up tag match ever, since Nodoka Tenma is retiring in a few weeks. Mizuki and Yuki Aino started, but both tagged out pretty quickly. Nodoka Tenma came in, and Bully Yuka came in also. Yuka tried to straight up punch Nodoka in the face with a closed fist, but was put in a headlock. While in the headlock, Yuki peppered Nodoka's stomach with punches until she was released. Yuka tried to Irish Nodoka, but Nodoka held onto the ropes, before Yuka punched her on the top of the head, Irish whipped Nodoka, and punched throttling Nodoka in the face. These are two of the best tag teams in TJPW, and they put on a really good match, and it was pretty back and forth. A dive to the outside by Mizuki looked like it was a bit off, but Yuki Aino was able to brace the fall, so there were no issues, but I was scared for a second. The end of the match saw Nodoka Tenma take a lot of punishment, a second rope superplex, a magical merry-go-round, and the magical girl splash from Yuka Sakazaki before she was pinned. You could tell it was pretty emotional for Yuka and Nodoka after the match, when after some playful biting by Yuka, there was a group hug between the teams with tears in their eyes. This was a good and enjoyable show, was better than I was expecting, but was only a one-camera show. I would recommend the third, fourth, and main event matches to watch if you are interested. The next TJPW show is on March 5th, and we'll have a neat match between Nodoka Tenma and Marika Kobashi who are leaving TJPW, so I don't know who will win that. This has been the Joshi Wrestling Recap for TJPW February 26th, 2022. Thanks for listening.